Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Stricken with Ebola, Liberian national Thomas Eric Duncan is in serious but stable condition in isolation at a U.S. hospital. Liberian authorities said they will prosecute him for lying on an airport travel form, denying that he had any contact with any Ebola victim before flying out of that country. As VOA Zlatica Hoke reports, the first U.S. diagnosed Ebola case is sparking fear that the virus might spread in America.
Authorities in Dallas, Texas have ordered power washing of the apartment complex where Thomas Eric Duncan, the first Ebola patient diagnosed in the United States, stayed last month before he became sick. Officials are investigating the circumstances surrounding Duncan's infection.
We only know that he apparently arrived here, I believe, on the 20th in the United States, and his symptoms did not begin until about the 24th.
Duncan is in isolation at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. When he was first rushed to an emergency room, he was diagnosed with a mild fever and returned home, only to return seriously ill a few days later. He was hospitalized after testing positive for Ebola. Duncan's nephew, Joe Weeks, who lives in North Carolina, told reporters Thursday that his uncle remains in serious condition.
He was here to see his son. He came for his graduation. Unfortunately, he missed the graduation, so he hasn't seen his son yet.
Health authorities want to interview about 100 people who may have been in contact with Duncan. The news has sparked fear among parents with children in local schools.
I'm trying to see what kind of safety precautions they're taking at the school for me to determine whether or not, my child is going to be able to return.
The fear is not limited to Dallas. Microbiologist Gil Mobley protested at the Atlanta airport Thursday against what he sees as a lack of adequate precaution against Ebola. He says U.S. health authorities have underestimated the potential of importing Ebola cases to the United States.
Once this disease consumes every third world country, as surely it will, because they lack the same basic infrastructure as Sierra Leone and Liberia, it will devour these countries. And at that point, we will be importing clusters of Ebola on a daily basis.
Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea are among the West African countries hardest hit by Ebola. More than 3,300 patients have died since the outbreak started in March, nearly 2,000 of them in Liberia, where Duncan came from. Health officials say air travel does not play a role in spreading Ebola.
Ebola is not an airborne disease. Ebola is transmitted by contact of sick person, and the transmission is done by the body fluid.
The Obama administration is sending 3,000 troops to Liberia to help contain the disease. Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said her government will investigate whether Duncan knew that he might have been in contact with a sick person before traveling to the United States. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Meanwhile, a U.S. cameraman for NBC News has contracted Ebola while in Liberia. The network says it is flying him back to the U.S. The entire news crew will be placed under 21-day quarantine. The World Health Organization now reports that more than 3,300 people have died and over 7,000 have been infected with Ebola in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone.